Thank you. No, I sort of have this feeling like, what should we do now? We've been, says it's a Dharma talk, but somehow it seems we've been doing Dharma all day already, so what shall we do now? Must be a pretty good start to retreat, as I notice your faces look awfully compelling. And the face of the moon just rose here over the east. And it's a full moon tonight. Officially full tomorrow, but it's a full moon. And the frogs are still singing here, but it's getting cold, so I can tell their singing is getting slower. They're starting to, feel the fall. It's nice to be able to talk. I don't know how I came across this. I came across a comedian recently who was saying that his version, he doesn't think hell would be so bad, but what he thinks would be really bad was that there'd be no breaks in hell, that you could talk about what it's like to be in hell. And he thought that would be just terrible. That would be much worse. And he said, if you could just have instead of your cold water or coffee or cup of boiling water, and stand around and say, have you had the 10,000 crabs yet that just, oh yes, no, oh God, yes, those are terrible. He said that would make it a little bit better. And it's sort of true. Somehow just getting to the whole koan tradition somehow is just full of just, what is it like? What is this like? We come sit here for hours and we're just asking ourselves, we're just noticing, what's it like? And somehow it's always changing. Thankfully, we had some relatively smart people a few centuries ago that were able to come up with some ways of inviting us into, what is it like? It's like getting into a bath. It's like trying to fill a sieve with water. It's like stepping off a 100-foot pole and your body is revealed in the 10 directions. It's like as many things as you can possibly imagine. And yet we still can't quite say what it is, which I guess is what makes it so interesting. Somehow it is that thing of being in the bath, that we come to know it and taste it and feel it together. And we try to describe it and we ask each other, what's it like for you, teacher? What's it like for you, older brother? What's it like for you, old cow? Guishan would call Iron Grinder Lou. We just get to point to it together. That pointing is get to point and we get to recognize something quite profound about being recognized and recognizing. Getting to share that together. And in some way, prajna, what we call prajna or wisdom, is just learning to recognize, learning to see accurately, not putting all the stuff on top. And somehow, I don't know, getting to share it, getting to share in this, makes even the unbearable parts not so bad. It might be boiling in the bath, or freezing in the bath, or uncertain in the bath, but we're in it together. No, I'm always surprised how much on retreat I become aware of that. We all come to our little station And we all press our little link and we all sit here together from all over. I guess in some way there are many ways to companion and to be companioned. And proximity doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it, as you'll probably see. Someone might be looking at your face at any moment and thinking, oh, I wish I could offer them something, or they look beautiful, or they look sad. I wonder what's happening. You might be doing the same. And so there are all these currents, I guess we'll call them almost hidden treasures that are in the field at any given moment. And when we're lucky, we get to catch a glimpse of them. But sometimes even just knowing that they're there, that they're buried under this temple, can be kind of a nice thing. No, what I want to talk about tonight, I think, is noticing how, we've got these two things going, which is the bath and the treasure house. And as David was saying this morning, the koans start talking to each other, and I thought, well, what if you're in the bath, but you have your treasure and then you drop it? I thought, in fact, there is a koan for this. It says something like, the coin lost in the river is found in the river. I don't know, it's been sticking with me because in a way, awakening is this kind of strange, like hide and seek game that we play. You wake up in the morning, often goes like this on retreat, I find, for myself and others. You wake up in the morning in that pure, deep, dark morning sit and you think, I've got it. And then by the time you get to your teacher in the afternoon, you think, no, I don't. I forgot, or I can't remember, or it was kind of like this, but I can't really explain it to you. You think, well, what is it? Like, what did I somehow think that I got? And what have I somehow now thought that I've lost? And this goes on and on for, pretty much the rest of your life, I think, if you keep doing this practice. And I guess it sort of seems like one of the things that happens is you get the sense that, oh, in fact, everything is okay, and it's beautiful, and it's interesting, and nothing's my fault, and nothing is anybody else's fault, and it all sort of works out. And then you think, no, it doesn't actually, that's not true, and I failed something, and my partner's annoying, and it's all gone downhill, and they've lost it again. And so there's this dance that goes on. This whole, somehow this notion of buried treasure really got to me because I came across this, article about the New York City subway system has a lost and found. And as you might imagine, some incredibly strange things get lost in the New York City subway system. And there's a whole team of people that are dedicated to cataloging and caring for and treasuring these items, and that's their whole life. And they work in a team so that no one can ever be tempted to steal anything. And they get everything from what you might expect, wallets and cash and phones, and then they get things like prosthetic legs and urns and, anything you might imagine. And they carefully take it down and they find its friends and they catalog it. And in their however many years this particular person had been studying them, they had never misplaced a single thing of all these lost items. And they take this very seriously. Occasionally, someone will come down into their dungeon of lost treasures and find something. But oftentimes these things just wait. And in some way, what this person was saying, and I think it's true, they begin to have a life of their own. They have their friends, and they're somehow awaiting their next life. They're waiting to be remembered. And I like to think that we kind of have an inner version of this New York City subway system lost and found. That there are all sorts of, all the things you lose track of in a day, all the memories, all the things that have ever happened to you. And when you start sitting, it's often the case that, no, things will just begin to pop up and you think, hey, well, what happened to that? Memory will find you. Or a person will come back into your life. Things are always popping up to us. And it does sort of seem like there's this universal system in the Tao that's somehow keeping very, very careful track of these things. And just when they might be needed, someone gets a little nudge. It does seem like one of the things that happens is we do get to feel like we're missing something, we're longing for something, we've lost something. And usually whatever the story is that appears around this will tell you an incredible amount about your particular way of suffering. That something maybe has been stolen from you, or that you've ruined something, or that, I don't know, that you don't deserve something. The list could go on. But, Lin Ji has this great thing about one of his things in the record of Lin Ji, which in great summary is sort of like, get over it, you have it already. Great followers of the way, there's nothing to be gotten, you have it. And one of the koans that we've grabbed from that, our miscellaneous collection, says, what is it you lack? What is it that practice must mend? The longer you sit, even in a particular period, you sort of see, well, nothing, actually. There's nothing right here in this moment that's missing. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing I need. There's nothing I have to offer. I just get to be here. I get to feel the companionship of everything that's here, and I get to open the doors to that underground memory system to see if anything wants to find me. I think in some way practice is just, it's making ourselves findable. It's slowing down and opening long enough. The things that we don't expect might find us do. The first part of this koan is kind of interesting. We don't usually use it, but I was kind of digging around for it. And it says, what does sitting correctly and contemplating true reality mean? This is sort of what we're trying to do today. What does sitting correctly and contemplating true reality mean? And this is what Yun Men says, the coin lost in the river is found in the river. And it's true that with awakening especially, awakening it's a remembering of something. It's not a getting of something, it's a remembering of something that you know, that somehow you've lost, somehow it's been forgotten. And the river keeps rushing, but if you're willing to kind of stick around with it, and in the same way, what your ideas about what you've lost inform maybe the kind of suffering you have, your ideas about what awakening is will begin to inform many things about what you think is supposed to be here that's not. We've been sitting in the open temple with Sheer Toe. He's been getting at this, are you sure you lost it? You think, well, wait a second. Then what is it if I haven't lost it? It's got to be around here somewhere. But our fantasies, Or fantasies of something, that I'm somehow going to be a person who's never perturbed, that I'm somehow going to be a person who always knows what to do. I myself am particularly guilty of that one sometimes. Notice my partner will ask me a question and I'll just think, oh, sure, I can come up with an answer for that. And then I think, actually, I have no idea what I'm talking about. It just sounds convincing. It just comes into my mind. That I'm someone, awakening will maybe somehow mean that, yeah, that I know what to do, that I'm lovable, that I don't have to worry, that the world will suddenly make sense, that everything will always be beautiful, or I'll be happy, or. But really, all that tells you is where you are right now, which is you're longing for something, or you're feeling you're missing something, or you're blocking something, or you're turning away from something, or something feels unresolved. I saw a little while ago, I think it was in National Geographic, they had all these centuries of our different imaginings of what's on the planet Mars. And you could see it has nothing to do with what's on the planet Mars. It has everything to do with our own imagination. And like some things were that the Martians only eat giant cabbages that close up at night. And others are that the Martians are, some are that the Earthlings and the Martians are perpetually at war and that no one will ever win. Not sure who made that one up, but we might not want to be friends. And another one is that there was a terrible war that the Martians were massacring everyone until someone played a country music song and it deafened them. And you just see like these they get silly, but they tell you about, what am I afraid of? What do I take invaders to be? What do I take peace to be? What do I take the universe to be? That whatever your fantasy is at any given moment, whether it's awakening or Mars or I don't know, what do you hope a teacher will say to you? What do you hope your partner will say to you? Whatever, it's telling you something about what you think is missing, what you might be longing for, what you feel you've lost. All this is sort of just grist for the mill, like it gets interesting. What world do I think I'm in? What do I think I'm looking for? What do I think it will give me? And the interesting thing is that we do lose stuff. Like, I don't know, you lose your mojo, you lose your vision, you lose your attraction to someone, you lose your, lose basic things too, wallets, keys, coats. And the looking deeper, sometimes those things return of their own accord, and sometimes they just wander off, and that's it. And that gets into that buried treasure phenomenon. And sometimes they inexplicably return. You know, you're exhausted and suddenly you get energy, or you are incredibly full of despair and suddenly joy washes over you. It's like the coin lost in the river is found in the river if I'm willing to stay in the river to somehow find out. But the nature of what appears is often changing. I came across a story of a man, this was quite some time ago, who had a parrot that he loved very much. And the parrot, as sometimes happens, flew away one day. And for 4 years, he didn't hear anything, and he was heartbroken. Suddenly, a veterinarian came into possession of a parrot. At first, she thought it was her parrot who had also flown off. But when she took the read of the tag, she found out it was this man's parrot. And they were reunited, and he was very happy until he started realizing that the parrot was speaking Spanish and barking like a dog, and and making garbage truck noises. You thought, well, wait a second. And this happens when things come back to you too. You think you've like let an idea go wandering off in your psyche, and it comes back and it's speaking different language, and you think, well, wait a second, no, that wasn't what we agreed to when we first were going to write this or talk to this person or whatever it is. Things have their own life. And so there was an article, the local news did an article on this guy who reunited with his parrot. And the daughter of an 86-year-old man got in touch with them and said, in fact, the 86-year-old man had been companioning the parrot for these last 4 years and was heartbroken that it was gone because it was keeping him very good company after his wife had passed away. And so the original man decided he was going to give the parrot back to the 86-year-old man because he kind of felt like, life has moved on. This parrot actually found its way, and it's nice he got to say goodbye to it. But things have their own life. And you probably notice this with things you've lost or things you've found. It's that there's some idea that things belong to us, but they certainly don't. We're lucky if we get to keep them for a little while. That's very nice. But that goes for our inner lives as well. You might have a memory and it flies off from you, and by the time it comes back, it's changed. People that you thought were very mean to you, you've realized maybe weren't. Or the thing that you thought you had just flubbed so badly, the horrible person that you thought you were, you realize, I don't know. Maybe I was scared, or maybe I was confused, or maybe I was hurt. Maybe I don't even know exactly what happened. They move around, all these things, once they escape from inventory. No, so it's like I notice I just keep coming back to this question, like, what are we longing for? I mean, we want our parrot, yes, so we love our parrot. But really we just we want our lives. We want our lives. We want our whole being. Now, a number of you, the infamous line from our recent Beauty and the Beast retreat, but I want the monster. Like, I want my monster the whole of my life and its monstrous effects and the way it's always changing on me. To have the whole of it, to be in that river, whether you find the coin or not, becomes the thing. I saw a thing on, TikTok, which I haven't been able to bear to join, but I saw this article recently that the new way to make money, just in case you were wondering, is people have cameras in their apartment or in their house on 24/7, even when they're sleeping, even when they're doing nothing, and that they're getting lots of money because people just want to watch them doing nothing, like living their lives, sleeping, eating breakfast, doing nothing. I didn't even know quite what I made of this, but I thought, well, in meditation, you can do that for free. Like, you don't have to, you're watching this person live their lives all the time, and you're thinking, what are they doing? But I thought, well, what is that compels someone to want to watch someone else just doing nothing, having no idea what's going to happen next? And that I think in some way it is that longing to be more connected to life unfolding. But somehow the idea is like, I'll do it out there in someone else instead of this person right here, who's just as strange, I mean, equally, probably, if not more so, strange and mysterious and full of, opportunities for toast and sleeping and showers and, this is what you get to do. You get to watch TikTok of yourself 24/7. We even have a view. I don't know, that's part of that being lost and found thing. So I think we don't actually have any idea who we are most of the time. I mean, sure, you can keep like all the coins in your pocket and keep a collection of things that you can like pull out for people as proof. But it's like, I feel like I'm losing and regaining a sense of myself pretty much all day. Like, who's here? What do they think? What's happening for them? And I rest into something and then it's gone again and I have to go trudging around. we're just sort of hanging out in this riverbed together. It's like a bath, but the water keeps moving. This is kind of a strange story, but I'm very fascinated by the way that we do lose and find things, and how reliant we are, in fact, most of the time on greater forces. Like, you hear stories of, family albums popping up at a thrift store 4 years later or something after someone's lost it. Or, I don't know, it's amazing how things go wandering off. But a particular incident I had of this several years ago, when I was moving out of my partner's house and was incredibly eager to get rid of as much stuff as possible, mostly paperwork, because her previous spouse kept, like, I don't know, a circus tent of paperwork of years of everything. And I just thought, I'm going to burn it. I'm going to get rid of all of it. We're having a fresh slate, and which happens in practice too. I will just be a new me. I won't account for all the rest of the shit that I'm dragging around. And so I tried to burn a whole bunch of it in the fire pit, almost burned the house down, so I had to give that up. Finally got a shredder for a lot of it, but there was just still so much. Threw a lot of it away as much as possible without compromising anything. Packed up the rest. Movers come for 4 or 5 days. The entire house is now packed up, put in moving vans. There's a pile, there's about this much paperwork left in this office. And we're getting ready to sign everything to get out of the house. And our real estate agent calls and says, great, so we're all set. All we need is proof that the mortgage was paid off 10 years ago. And I'm like, what? And she says, yeah, apparently there was a mortgage, and somehow the letter didn't get delivered to the company, and so we just need proof that it was paid off. I'm sure it is, but we just need to be able to, otherwise we can't go through with the sale. I'm like, well, but all the paperwork is now, like, packed up and burned and thrown away, and we'll just get in touch with the bank. So unfortunately, the bank has been out of business for like 7 years. And our faces are just starting to, like, this feeling when you've lost something very important. You may or may not know the feeling of just having burned a whole truckload of things and hoping to God it wasn't in there. And somehow I think to myself, I think it's here. I have no idea where this thought comes from, but I start just going through the pile, the very small pile that we have, and I go through it 3 or 4 times, and I just think, it's not here. I can't find it anywhere. And so we're starting to figure out, like, what are we going to do? Do we have to unload all the moving trucks? Do we have to somehow, like, get in touch with a government agency, which now we're never going to sell our house, which, like, all these things. And somehow I just keep getting this incredibly strong feeling it's still here. So I take out almost every piece of paper that's left, which is a very small stack, and somehow tucked right behind something that was folded over is one sheet that says that this mortgage has been paid off. And it sort of felt like one of those things that you think, well, what do you attribute that to? What do you attribute this resurgence to? On the one hand, sure, it's just really fucking lucky. I'm grateful for whatever creatures might be, whatever forces of the Tao are helping with that. But on the other hand, it's like the Tao is also in us. Some part of me was somehow likely paying some kind of attention to banking documents as I'm doing all this, as much as my ravenous appetite for destruction was present. And so it's like the Tao is working through us. It's like those people down in the basement of the subway station. It's cataloged things. It's attentive to things, which means oftentimes it's attentive to losing things as well. I said the last Bolinas retreat, I have a friend who lost 7 winter coats in 1 year. You think there's something going on there. Like, what is it? You have people who lose keys. You have people who lose. No, there's active forces in our psyche in the shadow somehow that are bringing things into and out of view. And it often feels as though awakening is the thing that when those forces start to be harmonious instead of kind of working against each other, that I think, I don't know, I should be able to do all these things and my shadow disagrees. And so it's going to start hiding things from me until I slow down. When the forces start to harmonize, usually we run into fewer snags like that. And things start to step forward when they're needed and recede when they're not needed. I think that's one of the markers, in a sense, of awakening, is the field is clean. There isn't an agenda that's happening that's forcing things into or out of view. Things just get to come and go as they please, sort of like the parrot. Maybe just that, one more little koan in this regard that's been of great interest to me recently is it's a very simple koan that just says, "What is Buddha?" And Ancestor Ma says, "This very heart mind is Buddha." Just sort of like picking up that coin that I think I've lost. Oh, it's been right here the whole time. It's amazing what we know when we let ourselves know it. And how deeply that is entwined with that prajna that just can say what it's like without having to think it shouldn't be that way. And the verse that goes with this says, "On a bright day, you don't have to look around. Asking what is Buddha is like declaring your innocence with loot in your pocket. It's like you're all full of loot. That's how it goes. You lose it. You think it's gone. You think you've burned it. You think someone took it. That's yours. It's right here at any given moment. It's in your room. It's in your breath. It's in your candles. It's in the way you've created your temple. It's in your commitment to bring yourself to this temple, to this moment, to these people. No, I'm thinking it'd be nice to hear from some people who aren't me. Alison McCabe, you have anything you want to say?
Was just so moved by all of it. I found myself kind of following along with the story. And I guess I was one of those ones that wanted the monster. And I feel like I don't know, it feels like it's a really beautiful monster right now. That's just fabulous. That's it. Thank you, Tess.
Marion Power, you have anything you want to say?
But when you were talking about the coin lost in the river is found in the river, and if I stay in the river, I'm willing to stay. It's there, and that feels very true these days. I think just my experience of being willing to not run, and be more curious about what's going on with me inside. Yeah, dreams and relationships. And the coin it does keep changing, but what I find is something very, it's a surprise and somehow makes things more workable for me.
John Tarrant, do you have anything you want to say?
Love the talk, so that's one. So thank you. I like just taking the ride without forming opinions. It's a nice thing. So that when I'm in the talk, it's like I'm inside a garden or inside like that. And so I feel that way about this session. A lot of things are going on. People are dying, and people are, other things. Events are happening, and people I feel close to, and things like that. And it's all in that flow, and it's all beautiful. There's nothing that's not beautiful. So you can feel that. Kind of pretty much what I've been noticing. And there's nothing that's not medicine. I do like. I'm glad you mentioned the way things come and go, and you somehow knew that essential document was deliberately hiding, and the way things have a life of their own is just a marvelous thing, and it's always important to just be listening to, what is the universe wanting me to do? It cancels this and it opens this other gate, and I like not having to fight with those things. I think that's it.
Thanks. Wow, you made me remember a dream someone told me today. It somehow feels in this territory. She was at some kind of gathering, and a little old man came up and took her. There were musicians playing in the center of the gathering. The rest of it was kind of chaotic, but this little old man came up and took her hand and put it on one of the musicians. Didn't say anything. And then took her hand off, and then took her hand and put it on the conductor. And then took her hand off, and then there was a kind of orb that was glowing above the musicians, and he took her hand and put it on that orb. And she said all she could just feel was, oh, that's music. Somehow it wasn't anything to understand. It was just that subtle touch of coming into contact with something and thinking, well, just what is it that comes alive in me as I come in contact with something? As it remembers itself or reveals itself or recognizes itself through me. So I guess that's the last thing about the coin lost in the river is found in the river. Is like we're always hiding and finding each other too. I think people don't see me and they do, and I think I'm hiding and I'm not. And it's just this constant game of hide and seek that we're playing with ourselves, with everything. And it feels like one of those games in which, sort of like when John was talking last night about the porpoise parents just tossing their little one into the air just because they could. It's like it's a game we play to just get to know what's here. When we get squirrely about it, that almost can become funny too. Oh, I don't want you to see that I'm afraid it's too late. I do. I don't want you to see that I'm. But you do. So we're losing and finding each other. So I think that's all I have to say, friends. Thanks for being in the river. Thanks for being here tonight.
Peacefully, humbly the ship stars travel. The grass hunches down to earth. The demons take their rest. And we call on the protectors to smile over us as the work in darkness goes on until dawn. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all awakened beings, great beings, the heart of perfect wisdom. The four boundless vows.
We were talking about the river flowing, about change and how everything is changing. And I know last night I felt very wooden. I felt like I couldn't even make it through a single sitting. And this morning I felt like I was sitting on top of a great cliff, and just everything was clear and bright and broad. And right now I feel just so thankful and warm towards all of my teachers and all of you. And poems come to me that's spoken in this room a number of times. I think that it's like a koan almost for me. And it goes something like this. Did you get what you wanted? Did you get what you were looking for? Did you find what you wanted in your life? Even so, did you find it? Yes, I did. I did find it. And what was that you found? I found that I was beloved, that I was beloved on this earth. So when you go to bed tonight, when you lay down, just know that you're beloved on this earth.
2 bells.